Here we go, our next chapter of the Willoughbys. Chapter 5, The Arrival of the Odious Nanny.
Here comes another one,
Barnaby A. announced, looking down from the window after the doorbell had sounded below. The Willoughby children were on their fourth floor of the tall, thin house, the floor where a musty, cobwebbed attic had been converted into a musty, cobwebbed playroom.
What does this one look like?
Barnaby B. asked, glancing over from the table, where he was drawing a picture of a skyscraper on a long piece of paper that he had laid out. 89, 90, he murmured as he drew two more windows. Barnaby B. was meticulous, and he had decided that his skyscraper would have 336 windows, 12 per floor, and that each one must be identical to the others, and he measured them out with a ruler, drew them in with faint pencil lines, and then went over each line with ink.
Heavy set,
his twin described,
wearing a hat.
I'm deducting 4 points from your daily total, A, because you did not include any helpful details, Tim said. He put down his book, went to the window with a pair of binoculars, looked down through them to the front steps. Large feet wearing suede lace-up boots, he announced, a faux alligator purse, no gloves, a man's watch on the left wrist. The hat is a faded pink flower on its side, and she is holding a torn piece of newspaper, probably the ad for the nanny. Jane, who had been laboriously writing a note that she planned to pin to the sweater worn by the old doll, went to the window.
May I look?
She asked him. No. And a 2-point deduction for asking. Now she is about to ring the doorbell a second time. She has aimed her right index finger, and the bell sounded again. I get 40 points for correct prediction, Tim said.
Do you think she looks villainous like the one who came yesterday?
Barnaby B. asked. 92, he murmured, inking in another window. No, the one yesterday had some weaponry in her satchel, Tim said. I was quite certain about that. No wonder Father ordered her to leave before he interviewed her. Father likes or dislikes weaponry of any sort.
Yes, he is very suspicious of Mother's knitting scissors, Barnaby B. pointed out. He feels all warfare should be conducted with taunts and gibes and vicious rumors.
What about the one the day before? Asked Jane, still thinking about the nanny. The one who was wearing glasses and sniffed into a hanky. Lugubrious, Tim said. She sniffed all through the interview and wept at the end when she told about her previous post. Whatever made her cry? Jane asked. The child died of malnutrition. She was describing its thinness and began to weep. Why didn't she feed it? She forgot. How sad. Father almost hired her, but then she told about the child's funeral. She spoke so reverently, Father was repulsed by the reverence. Also, she dabbed her eyes, and he dislikes dabbing.
Look again, if you would, Tim, and see if they've let this one in after a second ring, Barnaby A. suggested.
Tim glanced down the window. Yes, she has entered. I'll go down into my spying place. He looked around the playroom. Jane, you may continue your imaginative play with the doll. Jane dutifully picked up her pencil and continued the note she was writing. I cannot care for my poor ugly baby, it said. A. Read a book while I'm gone and prepare to report on it to me. Chapter 11, Tim said. Barnaby A. sighed. But it's about thermodynamics. It's too odd, he said. Tim glared. Is that a whine? 6-point deduction for whining. He turned to the other twin. You keep out those skyscraper windows, B, he said. Ink them in, and when you get to 112, we'll examine them carefully and determine whether the measurements are exact. If not, of course. Barnaby B. nodded.
Yes, I know we'll have to crumple.
He glanced down at the nearby corner with several previous skyscrapers. One had been very close to finished. Lay crumpled. I'll report back shortly, Tim said, and left the playroom. He returned 5 minutes later, and the other Willoughby children all looked up in surprise.
"You were very quick,"
Barnaby commented, looking up from the book.
"You barely had time to learn anything about thermodynamics." "And I was only up to 97 windows," Barnaby B said. "When you came back, suddenly it started me and I made a scribble."
"Crumple!" ordered Tim, and Barnaby B crumpled his skyscraper sadly. "He has hired her," Tim announced. "He did not conduct an interview. I think they were desperate. Father said, 'You're hired, here is your room.' And then he pointed at the spare bedroom. She is already moving in. Her things will be sent by taxi."
"The spare bedroom is foul," Barnaby A pointed out. "Yes, it has cockroaches," Barnaby B added.
"We don't care. We don't live in it," Tim said.
"And Mother and Father?" asked Jane in a concerned tone. "When are they leaving?"
"They're gone. They had a cab waiting and left for pier to board the ship."
"Without saying goodbye?" Jane asked with a pitiful quiver in her voice.
"Jane, I am taking all of your points away. You have no points left because you had an unrealistic expectation. Do you remember what happens to someone with no points?"
"Yes," Jane replied. "I have to stand in a corner with my hands neatly clasped."
She went there and stood with her back to the room. Corner was a good place, actually, for thinking about how to become a more forceful and effective person. "Now I will describe our new nanny."
"May I listen?"
asked a small voice from the corner. "Yes, of course. In fact, you must listen. It's required. There might be a quiz." The two Barnabys sat side by side, listening attentively. Jane shifted from one foot to the other as she stood in the corner. "I do not know her name," Tim began. "I expect she has a name, but I do not know it, and in any case we will never call her by it. Understand?" His brothers and sister nodded. "She is heavy-set," said Tim.
"Yes, we could see that from the window," Barnaby A murmured.
Tim glared at him. "She has now removed her hat, and she has largish ears, and gray hair badly arranged in a disorderly way."
"Oh, dear,"
murmured Jane from the corner, and Tim glared at her. "She wears lace-up shoes and a man's watch that seems to be 3 minutes fast. Her legs are rather lumpy, and I believe she has varicose veins. This is good. She will likely be unable to move fast."
"Weapons?"
asked Barnaby A. "None, of course. We don't know what will be in her bags when they arrive. But there was nothing in her large purse but a folded apron. She donned the apron." "What's an apron?" "It's a thing one wears to prevent stains on one's clothing. Owning an apron probably indicates that she's sloppy and perhaps a poor cook."
"Mother was a vile cook,"
Barnaby B pointed out. "True. So we won't worry about cooking quality. Anything will be better than Mother's." "What shall we worry about then?" Jane asked, turning slightly toward the room. "I think I need to think about that. I'm sure there is something," Tim said.
"She's not villainous?"
asked Barnaby A. "No." "Or lugubrious?" asked Barnaby B. "No." "What then?" asked Jane. "Odious. She is an odious nanny."